Let's take a deep breath together. Irresistible happiness is what we're talking about this month. And Ernest Holmes defines happiness as a consciousness of the good of God. A consciousness of the good of God. The goodness of God. Let's take a breath as we just breathe inwardly and just become aware of the goodness of God. Because it's the goodness of God that has us here this morning. The goodness of God that has us here in spiritual community. The goodness of God that lives and moves and has its being in each one of us. And we live and move and have our being in it. And as we become more and more aware of that truth, that the goodness of God is our very life. It is that within which we live and move and have our being, as I said. When we are anchored into that truth, then there's no way we cannot be happy. There's no way that there cannot be irresistible happiness that we experience in our lives. And happiness does not necessarily mean that we're giddy and acting like things are not going on in the world and being in denial and all that. That's not what happiness is all about. Happiness is defined as that enduring feeling, profound enduring feeling of contentment, of capability, and of centeredness. And this month, those are the things that we've been looking at throughout the month. Those things that keep us in the place of contentment and capability and centeredness. And when we talked the first week about truthfulness, truthfulness is the way that we relate to the world. That's one of the things that keeps us in that place of contentment, truthfulness in the way that we relate to ourselves and the way that we relate to each other. And then the next week we talked about giving and the way that we give as being a reflection of who we are. The way that we give and the way that we practice the divine law of circulation and the way that we step into that giving so that we can be open to receiving and it reflects who we are. That's a part of that contentment, that first C that defines happiness. And then last week we talked about recasting, where we dive deeply into our emotions and we acknowledge our emotions as we navigate through difficult times so that we can then refashion what's going on, refashion our lives and decide how we're going to move forward in our lives. And recasting is always saying, I can. That's the message of recasting. And what happens when we're in that place, that's where we're in that place of capability. That's the second C of the definition of happiness, capability. And then, of course, centeredness is that place where we come home and return unto God. My favorite reading today, return ye unto God. We're always, always, always needing to return unto God over and over and over again. And this is where the centeredness comes in. And the thing that's so beautiful about the way that we've been going through these different areas over the weeks and even before this month, going through the different spiritual practices, the 7 sacred practices that we have here. We went through the month of visioning. We went through the month of spiritual mind treatment. We went through the month of service. All of these things work together. All of these things work together, and all of them together is much more powerful than one thing by itself. And that's what I'm talking about today, the law of synergy. Synergy, where everything works together. All these parts come together, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And so it is that synergy, when we put all those things together that we've been practicing over and over again, then that's what keeps us moving, and that's what keeps us going, even when difficult times come, even when our hearts ache, even when we have things happen suddenly that we don't expect, that knock us off our center. It's that synergy of all those things working together that helps us to keep moving forward, helps us to keep being open, helps us to recognize that there's a power and a presence within us that is always right where we are and that is always, always, always guiding us, directing us, keeping us safe, loving us, lifting us up. This is a truth that I know for each and every one of us, and this is where irresistible happiness is. That happiness that is irresistible. It cannot resist us. And it doesn't mean that we don't have issues going on. It doesn't mean we don't have problems. One of my closest friends of 40 years passed away this week. And I'm diving deep right into those feelings right this morning, and the song from Cerise just sort of brought them to the surface. And I know what I know, that God is in the midst of all that's going on, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the sadness, in the midst of the sorrow. God is. And this is the same truth I know for each one of us, that it doesn't mean that we, as I said, we gloss over things. It doesn't mean that we act like things don't happen. It doesn't mean that we move into denial. It means that we're just with it. We're just with it. And you know what the synergy, where the real synergy is when we synergize with God, with all the other things that we do, with the giving and the truthfulness and the recasting and the visioning and all those things, when we just come right back to center and right back to the truth that we know as we walk this journey, when we keep coming back to that place of synergy, then that's when happiness happens and we experience it no matter what's going on. No matter what's going on. No matter what's going on. Because the truth is that God always is, and God always is present, and God always is guiding and directing us, and God always is right where we are no matter what we are experiencing. And we get to realize that experiences are just that, they're just experiences. They're experiences, and I'm not minimizing them, I'm just saying the experiences, and the truth is that God is. That God is. And when we move into that place of knowing, when we move into that place of deep, deep, deep knowing, when we move into that place of synergy, then look out. Look out. Because that's when we really do get to experience that happiness that cannot resist us, and that happiness that we cannot resist, that contentment and that centeredness. And so everything starts with intention. All the things that I talked about, the truthfulness, the giving, the visioning, the service, everything starts with our intention. Being happy, experiencing irresistible happiness, consciously and deliberately moving from unhappy to happy to irresistible happiness starts with intention. Everything starts with intention. Let's set the intention right now to breathe and do that. As we set our intention to breathe, we breathe. We breathe. We breathe. Intention drives behavior. Intention drives behavior. So when we set our intention to be happy, we start to make those decisions, make those choices, do those things that will lead us to and down that path of happiness. When we've set our intention to be happy, we start to make different choices. We start to make choices that make us happy rather than choices that make us unhappy, because there are a lot of choices we make that make us unhappy. So we set our intention first, and then we pay attention to our intention. We keep our attention on our intention, always. If my intention is to be happy, I got to be focused on that. That's got to be where my attention is, and that's where your attention has to be. And so as we keep our attention on our intention, then we keep moving forward in that direction. I say that in addition to setting our intention to be happy, or instead of setting our intention to be happy, setting our intention to return unto God first. Setting our intention to return unto God first. Setting our intention to return unto God first. There's a Bias Beckwith song that the Agape Choir used to sing. It's called I'm Changed. And the words that just popped into my mind were, I'm changed, God is first in my life, second to none. God is first in my life, second to none. That's pretty powerful. God is first in my life, second to none. Something's changed in me. When we can honestly say that God is first in my life, second to none, feel that. Feel that change that overtakes us. Feel that change that comes up from within. It's not something that comes from the outer. It's something that comes from within. God is first in my life, second to none. Second to none. That opens us up wide. That makes us so available to that power and that presence. And when we are in that place of setting our intention to return unto God first, when that opens us up to a place where everything is possible. And we know that everything is possible. We let go of the what ifs. We let go of the doubts. We let go of the fear. We let go of the anxiety. We let go of all that stuff that would block us, that would hold us back. And we just know that God is first in my life, second to none. My intention is to return unto God always. Always. In each and every moment of each and every day. And sometimes we have to do it over and over, just that often, because stuff comes up. Stuff comes up. When we live in bodies on this planet, stuff comes up that we have to deal with over and over again, or different stuff, or different folks with the same, different names with the same folks. When we still have things to deal with, the same person keeps showing up. They just have a different name, right? And you wonder, well, how did she get way over here? I left her many states away. I left her back in my childhood, and here she is showing up in my face right now. I used to be married to him. How did he get here? Now he has a different name. Now his name is John. Used to be Joe. Yes, you know what I mean. We have to just keep going, and keep returning unto God, because when we return unto God, all that has been lost will be returned to us. And those things that we do not wish for shall vanish. That's what Christian D. Larson tells us in the reading, Return Ye Unto God from the Pathway of Roses. Return ye unto God, setting our intention to return unto God over and over and over again. And then the second thing we have to do is to walk in the direction of our intention. Walk in the direction of our intention. We can't set our intention here and then walk over here. Doesn't work that way. If our intention is to head this way, if we're going all the way around there, we're not walking in the direction of our intention. And that's how we have to learn to live our lives, by walking in the direction of our intention. This is what synergy is all about. Learning to walk in the direction of our intention, walking our talk, talking our walk. It's easy to come in here and talk about love on Sundays with all these people that we see that we like, or most of them anyway. With all the love that we experience here on Sunday mornings, it's easy to come in here and talk about love and to feel loving and to be in that kumbaya thing. It's easy to do that. But when we walk outside this door, when we drive off this campus, is it as easy to be loving? Is it as easy to be kind? Is it as easy to be generous? Is it as easy to be in oneness? Is it as easy when we get on Facebook? Because there's a certain walk that I see and a certain talk that I hear here. And then you go on Facebook and you see the name and you say, it couldn't be the same person I know from church. Really? Couldn't be the same person who was so loving on Sunday mornings and whenever they're on this campus. And then you see all kinds of stuff spewing out on Facebook. And Facebook is the only social media thing that I know a little bit how to do. I don't do a lot of it, but it's really, really, really unsettling sometimes to read Facebook posts when people are just spewing out all their anger, when people are spewing out all their anxiety even, when people are spewing out all their fears, when people are spewing out all kinds of stuff. And then we come back here on Sunday mornings and we take a deep breath and we're all centered. That's not walking in the direction of your intention to return unto God. That's not walking in the direction of our prayer work. When our prayer is for peace and for harmony and for joy and for balance and for harmony and for oneness. We can talk, in religious science community, we can talk about oneness of one side and down the other. We can be one, and we can do all that oneness stuff, and really mean it when we are in here and when we're with each other. And when we get outside, we forget that we're still one, that each and every person is still made in the image and likeness and out of God, and that God expresses through each one of us according to our own uniqueness, and God expresses through each one of us according to our availability, and God expresses through each one of us according to our openness to it. And just because somebody is acting like that doesn't mean that they're not made in the image and likeness of God. That's what we have to know to be the truth, that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of God. There's only one life. There's only one presence. There's only one mind. There's only one power. There's only one breath. There's only one essence. There's only one intelligence. There's only one knower, and that is God. And that one shows up in and through and as each one of us. In and through and as each one of us is how God shows up. And so when we get here on Sunday mornings and say namaste, the God in me recognizes the God in you. The God in me has to recognize the God in the person I see someplace else. The God in me recognizes the God in you, whoever you may be. That's walking in the direction of our intention, of returning unto God always. That's walking in the direction of our intention always. That is so important for us to do for our healing, for our growth, for our expansion, for our wholeness, for all of those God qualities that are seeking to express through each and every one of us. Always seeking expression, God is. Love is always seeking expression. Happiness is always seeking a landing spot, that irresistible happiness. And all we need to do is open up to be that. But we have to be mindful. We have to be present. We have to set our intention. We have to really, really, really want what we say we want, and not just say we want it because it sounds good, or say we want it because it seems easy. We have to want it and then want it and then want it and then open and be open to it coming, no matter how difficult it may be, no matter how uncomfortable it may be, no matter how we may have to change, no matter what we may have to let go, no matter what is going on, no matter what the facts may be. And there are facts all over the place. Facts in the form of a diagnosis, facts in the form of a relationship that ends, facts in the form of a death of a friend or a loved one, facts in the form of all kinds of things. Family issues, financial issues, all kinds of things. Those are facts. And they happen over and over and over and over and over again. They just have different names too. But the truth is, in the midst of it all, God is. The only truth, one. In the midst of it all, God is. So in the midst, Ricky Byers singing, in the midst of my pain is the seat of my joy. In the midst of everything, God is. Whatever we're experiencing, God is. God is. This is where irresistible happiness comes in. Because even though I'm experiencing pain, I'm still open to experiencing that happiness that wells up from within. It's not something that comes to us from the outer. It's something that comes from the inner. I think I said to you before, I read someplace that it's not always easy to find happiness outside ourselves, within ourselves, and it's impossible to find it elsewhere. It's not always easy to find happiness within ourselves, but it's impossible to find it elsewhere. The happiness is already within us. The joy is already within us. The love is already within us. The peace is already within us. The harmony is already within us. The forgiveness is already within us. The compassion is already within us. That's because these are all God qualities, and all the qualities of God are always already right where we are. Right where we are. God has already made the gift. God is the gift itself. And that gift is just standing. You know, there's a scriptural reference that I stand at the door and knock. The gift that is God is always at the door. Not going to beat it down, just at the door, awaiting our recognition of it. And so whatever it is we are seeking is seeking us. Whatever it is we're seeking is seeking us, always. So if it's peace that you're looking for, peace is looking for you. If it's love you're looking for, love is looking for you. If it's balance you're looking for, balance is looking for you. If it's harmony you're looking for, harmony is looking for you. If it's happiness you're looking for, happiness is looking for you too. Because what you're looking for is what you're looking with. Ernest Holmes said that. What you're looking for is what you're looking with. As within, so without. As within, so without. So when we start to look around at the things that we're experiencing in our lives, the issues that come up, and the ones, particularly those that come up over and over again, the facts that come up over and over again, it kind of gives us a clue of where we are in consciousness. It gives us a clue of where we are and who we are. Because as within, so without. So if I'm experiencing this, this, and this over and over again, if I'm attracting John and Joe and Sam, and that's still the same person with a different name, then what is it here within me that's attracting that? That's bringing that into mind. What is it within me that needs to change, that needs to be released, that needs to be let go, that needs to be healed so that I'm no longer attracting that thing that I don't want? It's always requiring us to take a look inward. And when we take a look inward, God is there. That's what we always find. When we start looking inward, we find God. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? When we go in search of ourselves, guess what we find? God. Yes, absolutely. That's because we are one with God. There's only one life. That's God's life. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Boom. That's it. That's a teaching. That's a lesson. Mic drop, right? That's the teaching. I mean, every Sunday, I can stand up here every week, and that's all I'm talking about. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. End of talk. Amen. And so it is. So you're applauding me off the stage. Okay. Okay. But after that mic drop, that's an and so it is. That's an and so it is. And so I don't care how many ways we dress it up. I don't care how many words we use. I don't care how many fancy words we use. I don't care whether we are oming or whether we are chanting or whether we are praying or whether we are singing it or whether, however we're saying it, there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Let's breathe that in. Let's breathe that in. Return ye unto God. Every dream is made true. Every vision is realized when we return unto God. Return ye unto God, no matter what's going on, no matter where it's going on. Return ye unto God. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life right here, right now. That is the truth that I know. That's the truth I know. I'm not telling you what somebody told me. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. And this is what you know. Because I don't know any more than you do. Each one of us has a knower within us. That same knower is within each one of us. And all we need to do is open to it. That same knower, that same truth is available to each one of us. That same healing, that same wholeness is available to each one of us. That same irresistible happiness is available to each one of us. And we experience it according to our availability to it. And so that's what we have to keep in mind. As we return unto God, we are making ourselves more and more available. Each time we do so, we're making ourselves more and more available. We become greater spaces through which that power and that presence of God can reveal itself, can express itself. That's what we're here for. We're here to be vehicles of God's love. We're here to be carriers of God's love. How many ways can we do that? I think that as we go through this week, let's just see how many ways we can carry God's love out from us. How many ways we can allow that love to express through us. How many ways we can actually show that we know there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. How many ways can we say that? How many times can we say it? How many times can we remember it? There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That's the only thing we need to know. So let's take a breath. This is what synergy is all about. We want to live our lives synergetically with God. We want to live in that place of at one-ment. In that place of at one-ment. We want all of this happiness and all of this, the things that we desire in our hearts to come from our own withinness. That's where it has to come from, our own withinness. So let's just take a breath. Let's set our intention to return unto God and then walk in the direction of our intention and then just know the truth as we live the power and the presence of God, knowing that we always are walking in the love and the life of God. And so we turn within now, just breathing into that knowing that there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life. Now, breathe that in. How awesome it is to know this truth. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. One life, one power, one presence, one mind, one breath. That one is my very life. That one is the life of each of us here this day. And so as we breathe into that life, as we open to it, I speak the word for us in this moment, this morning. Speaking a word of wholeness, just knowing the truth that I know for each and every one of us, that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of God itself. And that all needs are being met in each and every moment of each and every day for each one of us. And that all we need to do is show up. Show up with an open heart and open mind, trusting God more than we trust anybody and anything. All we need to do is return unto God over and over and over again. That's how we show up. And so as we do so, we can release anything that blocks, any fear, any anxiety, any doubt, and all that stuff that would hold us back. All that stuff that keeps us from experiencing our at one-ment. We let that go. And as we do so, we open up to the love and the possibility, and we recognize that we are pure potentiality. Pure potentiality is what we are. And as we open up more and more, we create a space so that God comes right through and we begin to live to our fullest potential. So I know that there's healing in the body temple where there needs to be healing. I know that there's healing in our bodies of affairs where there needs to be that healing. There's healing in financial situations, knowing that any sense of lack and limitation are released and reduced and let go. And abundance and prosperity and the unlimited good of God comes rushing in. I know indeed that all is well. And as I open this circle of prayer this morning, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently aloud, and you may speak them now. So for all those whose names were spoken here this morning, I'm just knowing that God is right where each person is, blessing and keeping them. This prayer goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day. God is in the midst of every situation and circumstance. Doesn't matter what we call it. God is in the midst of it. There's light, and there's peace, and there's harmony, and there's love, and there's healing everywhere. For God is everywhere present, regardless of appearances. God is. That's all we ever need to know. And so we just take a breath together. As I just say, thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Infinite Presence. Thank you, Divine Mother. I just allow it to be now. And so it is.